Iagon's vision is to create a global supercomputer powered by artificial intelligence and blockchain technology. And with me is the CEO of Navjit Dhaliwal to explain more about Iagon. So this sounds very futuristic. Navjit, can you kind of give me a summary of what Iagon is doing?
Yeah, nice to be here. Thanks for having me. So Iagon is the first decentralized cloud computing and storage platform that bridges decentralization with regulation, enabling us to target enterprise clients. We have 3 pilot customers, 2 enterprise and 1 academia. We have grants from Innovation Norway, which is government funded, and we just recently closed a funding round of 3.4 million USD. We're led by 4 PhDs that are experts in decentralized computing, AI, cloud computing, architecture, and business development.
Wow.
That's a short summary.
Well, it sounds very interesting. How did the idea of Iagon come to you?
Yeah, so the idea actually originated from the healthcare sector. Me being from the healthcare sector, it was originally, the idea was to secure medical files and data privacy for sensitive data. Eventually, it evolved around and it came into more generic solution involving all sensitive type of data and being more GDPR compliant.
Okay. When I think of these fields, I think of the huge company, Google, and IBM is in blockchain, and they've got, a quantum computer and things like that. I mean, how do you differentiate yourself from some of these big giants in tech?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they have a lot of backing, a lot of staff, and it's hard to compete against such big companies. But we were coming up with a unique idea. We're lowering our cost by up to 80%. And we're using unused resource capacities. So anyone with a smart device, anyone with a mobile device, or even a laptop or data storage center could share their resources with us, and in return receive a revenue stream for that resources. That's why we're able to reduce prices up to 80%, and that helps us compete against them. And furthermore, we're focusing a lot of our attention on GDPR compliance. There was a couple of months ago there was an article about Google getting fined 100 mil in EU for not being GDPR compliant, and the other giants have said not to be able to be GDPR compliant because of how their infrastructure is currently. So a lot of enterprise solutions are looking at alternative solutions that help them be compliant. And that's what we're focusing on.
Okay. And I think regulation could be coming in the US as well. So you might definitely be positioned.
Our primary focus is on GDPR in the beginning, but we're moving over to US and HIPAA compliance and different types of other compliances that we'll implement later on.
So, and you've also got encryption, some other security features. Can you tell me about those?
Yeah, I mean, once you send a file to, for example, Iagon, we encrypt it and we slice it and we spread it across the network, and we store the specific hash or the fingerprint of the file on the blockchain. So it's a dual layer security. What we call in the centralized world, or let's say in Google Cloud or Dropbox, we call when we send a file to them, it's stored in a data lake. So if you take a lake, for example, which is surrounded by a fence, if there's a security breach, someone can hop over that fence and swim in the lake and collect all the data. So what we call our solution is a frozen lake, basically. So if you jump over the cybersecurity fence, you beat a frozen lake. There's no way to penetrate that data. There's no way to see what's going on.
So, and then talking about blockchain, and there are other companies in this like blockchain cloud computing space. I mean, how do you differentiate yourself there?
Yeah, of course, there's a lot of competition in the space. I mean, there's going to be a few that come out on top. So there's a room to succeed. But we don't see competition as a hindrance. We think that it drives innovation, creates motivation, and drives a more creative solution in the end. And one blockchain company to succeed means that everyone else will succeed as well. And adoption in blockchain is very, let's say, minimalistic at this time, but it is growing rapidly. And once one solution gets adopted, I think everyone will succeed. But how we differentiate ourselves specifically is that we focus on ease of use for the end user, We have the GDPR compliance, and also we have filed a patent through VPO. So we want to secure our technology, and we have kind of a forefront and a leg up on the competition in that end.
Now, you referred early about the money, the capital raise that you just did. I mean, do you expect to allocate those funds?
Yeah, so that'll give us a 2-year runway, and we will mostly be hiring staff out of Norway and opening up a secondary office maybe in Poland. But we have ambitions to have about 25 staff members and develop our solution over the next 2 years using those funds.
Okay, Navjit, very interesting. Thank you so much for coming and sharing the story about Iagon.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. Take care.
And okay, so I'll just make sure that they know that. So Navjit, another way of creating a solid project is securing the right partnerships. Are there any interesting partnerships that you have or are looking to develop?
Aside from the pilot projects, which we can't mention names of, we are working closely with Cardano Foundation to drive growth and to be the leader in decentralized cloud computing in blockchain. So we're focusing on a Cardano ecosystem partnership. We have also a partnership that we'll announce soon with a data center out of Bermuda. So we have a lot of real world traction in terms of partnerships right now. We also have government funds from Innovation Norway, which is government funded, and also have a tax incentive from SkatteFUNN, which is also a government funded program for innovative companies. So we have been backed by a lot of, let's say, traditional companies and enterprises.
Okay. And then where would you like to see Iagon, say, in 5 years?
Yeah, I mean, we would love to be in the leading end of decentralized cloud computing for sure, in the blockchain atmosphere. We think that it's going to take a lot of time and effort to get there, of course, but we do believe we have the kind of patent and then also the right technology to get us to where we want to go. There's a lot of real world traction for GDPR compliance. We think that compliance is our way in to adoption in the traditional market.
And it sounds like your team is very strong in terms of their knowledge of blockchain and AI to get you there.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, the founders in terms of the executives, myself, Dr. Lad Harrison, who's a machine learning expert, Dr. Rohit Gupta, who's a former director of technology for Expedia. He wrote a thesis in 2005 regarding decentralized compute and AI back in 2005. So he knows exactly what we're trying to do and accomplish. And it's a lot of his thesis and our current model is tied in together. We also have the fourth founder, Dr. Claudio Lima, who's former CTO of Huawei in East Asia. So he's a blockchain architecture. So we believe we have a very strong facet of like-minded individuals that have different skill sets.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for coming and sharing the story of Iagon, and best of luck.